Marcus was just trying to get some breakfast when two cops decided to mess with him. But then he made one call that turned their whole world upside down. It's about 8:15 on a dreary Wednesday morning in Augusta, Georgia. You know those mornings where the clouds hang low like a dirty blanket and even the sun can't be bothered to show up? On Peach Street, there's a tiny little cafe squeezed between a laundromat and a check cashing place. The kind of spot where the coffee tastes like it's been sitting there since yesterday, but somehow you keep coming back. Marcus Thompson sits in his usual corner booth, back to the wall, facing the door. Same spot every week for the past 2 years. His old Navy jacket has seen better days. Sleeves worn thin, collar faded from too many washes, but he keeps it spotless. His hair's getting gray around the edges, and he's got that rough beard that says he trims it with whatever he can find. He smells like strong coffee and hand-rolled in tobacco, the cheap kind that comes in a pouch. He's not much for small talk, but he treats everyone with respect. "Good morning, Mr. Thompson," says Betty, the waitress who's been running this place like she owns it. She's probably 35, got 3 kids at home, and moves around these tables like she's conducting an orchestra. "Morning, Betty. You still got any of that apple pie from yesterday?" She grins. "You know we don't serve dessert till afternoon. Want your regular?" Marcus gives her a small nod. She doesn't need to write it down. 2 eggs over easy, hash browns, 3 strips of sausage, and wheat toast if they haven't burned it yet. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Same thing every time. From behind the grill, Eddie, who owns the place, looks over his reading glasses. "That man knows more about running a restaurant than I do," he whispers to Betty. "Some days he's the only reason I don't just lock up and walk away," she whispers back. To anyone walking through that door, Marcus looks like a guy who's barely getting by. No car in the parking lot, no fancy clothes, boots that have walked 1,000 miles. But to the people who work in this little cafe, he's part of the family. The quiet type, sure, but someone they trust completely. Marcus doesn't say much. He sips his coffee slow, watching the morning news on the old TV hanging above the counter. There's some story about veterans getting screwed out of their disability checks. He doesn't react, just lets out a long breath through his nose and turns back to the window. Outside, the morning rush is starting to build. College kids heading to classes, parents dropping kids off at school, workers trying to beat traffic to the base. Nobody notices the patrol car pulling up at first. It's not in any hurry, no lights flashing, just 2 cops getting out like this is just another Tuesday. Maybe for them, it is. Officer Bradley steps out first. Tall guy who looks like he used to play football and still thinks he's the star quarterback. His partner, Officer Martinez, is shorter and stockier, with a notepad sticking out of his shirt pocket. They walk in like they've done this dance 100 times before, because they probably have. Betty sees them coming and puts on her customer service smile. "Morning, officers, your usual booth?" But they don't even look at her. Bradley's already locked onto Marcus like a heat-seeking missile. "Excuse me, sir," he says, walking in straight over. "You a paying customer here?" Marcus looks up slowly, then nods once. "I am. You actually buy something?" Martinez asks, pulling out his notepad. "Coffee and breakfast. Should be coming out any minute." Bradley glances toward the kitchen. "Got a receipt for that?" Betty jumps in. "He's good for it. He comes in here every week." Bradley doesn't even turn around. "Did anybody ask you?" Betty's face goes red, but Eddie raises his hand from behind the counter. "Easy, Betty," he says quietly. Marcus stays perfectly still, doesn't raise his voice, doesn't look rattled. "I paid when I ordered. She can tell you." Martinez squints at him. "You got any ID on you?" Marcus reaches into his jacket real slow and pulls out an old wallet that's seen better years. He slides over his Veterans Affairs card. Bradley takes one look and makes this sound like he just tasted something sour. "This all you got?" "It's all I need," Marcus says. Martinez lets out this little laugh like Marcus just told the world's worst joke. "Yeah, we'll see about that." But right then, you could feel the whole place go dead quiet, like the air before a thunderstorm. You just knew something bad was about to happen. Martinez steps closer, crossing his arms like he's already decided Marcus is guilty of something. "How long you been sitting here?" he asks. Marcus glances at the clock above the door. "Maybe 40 minutes or so." Bradley tilts his head. "And how long you planning on camping out?" Marcus's jaw tightens just a little, but his voice stays steady. "Long enough to eat my food, just like everybody else." Betty slides his plate onto the table, trying not to look nervous. "Here's your breakfast, Mr. Thompson." Bradley raises his eyebrows. "He already ordered?" Betty doesn't back down this time. "He comes in every Wednesday morning, pays cash up front, never causes any trouble. He's one of our regulars. Martinez turns back to Marcus. You homeless? Marcus nods slowly. Don't have an apartment, no. But I've got a place in this community. Bradley smirks. Oh, you got all the answers, don't you? Marcus says nothing. He picks up his fork and takes another bite. Like maybe if he ignores them, they'll just disappear. But they don't. See, here's the thing, Bradley announces, looking around like he's giving a speech to the whole restaurant. People think they can just set up camp anywhere they want. Take advantage of good folks like these hardworking people here. That seem fair to everybody else? The place goes dead silent. Nobody wants to make this worse. A young couple at the corner table suddenly finds their pancakes real interesting. Some guy waiting for his takeout order shuffles his feet by the register, but nobody says anything. Marcus cuts another piece of sausage, chews it slow, wipes his mouth with his napkin. I did 3 tours in Afghanistan, came home, worked construction in Alabama till my back went out. I get by on my own. Don't steal from anyone, don't ask for handouts. I pay for what I eat. So why are you talking to me like I just robbed a bank? Bradley laughs, but it's not a friendly sound. Easy there, hero. Just making sure everything's on the up and up. Part of the job. Betty steps forward and you can see the fire in her eyes. Then check the cash register. He paid when he sat down. I've got the receipt right here. What more do you want? But Bradley acts like she's invisible. Martinez pulls out his little notepad. Full name? He asks. Marcus raises an eyebrow. It's right there on the card you're holding. I want to hear you say it out loud. Marcus lets out a long breath. Marcus Thompson. Date of birth? March 15th, 1967. Bradley nods at Martinez. Check it. Martinez heads back to their patrol car, mumbling something under his breath. Eddie finally comes out from behind the counter, drying his hands on his apron. Officers, could I have a word with you outside? Bradley waves him off. We're handling it, sir. No, you're really not, Eddie says, and his voice is getting harder now. That man has never caused one bit of trouble in my place. You got an actual complaint here? Or are we just picking on veterans for fun now? Bradley finally looks at him. Sir, we're responding to a call. Eddie frowns. A call from who? Bradley doesn't answer. He just shifts around and keeps staring at Marcus like he's waiting for him to do something stupid. Marcus finishes his last bite of hash browns and pushes his empty plate away. He wipes his hands clean and reaches back into his jacket. This time he pulls out an old cell phone. One of those flip phones that looks like it's from another decade. What's that supposed to be? Bradley asks, suddenly sounding nervous. Marcus flips it open, hits a number that's clearly on a speed dial, and waits. Eddie leans closer. But Marcus just holds up one finger as someone picks up on the other end. He puts the phone to his ear. There's a pause, then calm as anything, he says, it's happening again. And right then, you could feel the whole atmosphere change. Nobody knows who he just called, but that silence that follows, it's the kind that makes your ears ring. Bradley narrows his eyes, watching Marcus like he just lit a fuse. Who the hell did you just call? Marcus doesn't even blink, doesn't say a word. He just closes that old phone, sets it down next to his empty plate, and leans back in his seat. You said you were just doing your Marcus says, voice quiet but steady. Well, now I'm doing mine. Bradley steps closer, all puffed up now, hands moving to his belt. Sir, I need you to get up and step outside with me right now. Eddie's had enough. No way. He's not going anywhere unless you're actually arresting him for something. Martinez comes back from the car with some kind of tablet in his hands. Name checks out, he mutters, scrolling through whatever he's reading. VA records show veteran status, honorable discharge, 3 tours, Purple Heart. Bradley doesn't even care. He got a home address? Nope, no permanent residence. He got picked up in Savannah last year for sleeping in a park. Bradley nods like that's all he needed to hear. So he's a drifter. Doesn't belong camping out here all day, taking up space from real customers. Betty slams her order pad down on the counter so hard it makes everyone jump. We've got customers who nurse one coffee for 3 hours every single day, and you don't say a word to them, but you walk in here and go after the one person who actually deserves some respect. Bradley points at her. Lady, I'd suggest you back off. Don't you dare tell me what to do in my own workplace. She fires back. Marcus stays in his seat, completely calm, but his fingers tap the table edge. 1, 2, 3 times. He doesn't look mad, just tired. The kind of tired that goes all the way down to your soul. You look at me and see a problem, he says to Bradley, but I'm not the one causing a scene here. That's when Bradley finally loses it. All right, that's enough. Get up, now. Marcus slowly stands up, and suddenly he looks taller than he did sitting down. Straighter, too. He looks Bradley right in the eye. I don't want any trouble. Bradley reaches for his handcuffs. You should have kept your mouth shut instead of getting smart with me. But before he can grab Marcus's arm, the front door flies open so hard it almost comes off its hinges. The little bell above it doesn't even get a chance to ring properly. It just smacks the wall and swings back crazy. A guy walks in. Looks like he's in his 40s, wearing a sharp black suit and a long coat that probably costs more than most people make in a month. No uniform, but you can tell he's got power just by the way he moves. He walks straight toward their table without even glancing around. He flashes a black wallet with some kind of official ID. Deputy Director James Mitchell, Department of Justice. Bradley freezes with his handcuffs still halfway out of his belt. Mitchell's voice is ice cold and cuts through the room like a knife. Officers, I need your badge numbers. Right now. Martinez stumbles over his words. Sir, we were just responding to a call about... There was no call. Mitchell cuts him off sharp. We monitor police radio chatter for certain situations. Everything you've done here has been recorded. You've both been violating procedure from the minute you started harassing this civilian without any cause. This man is a war veteran, not some criminal. Bradley's face turns bright red. Look, with all due respect, you're not our boss. No, Mitchell says, real calm. I'm the guy who's about to investigate you. Marcus doesn't say a single word. He just sits back down, smooth as silk, like this whole thing is exactly what he expected. Eddie lets out this long breath he's been holding. Betty's eyes are huge, darting back and forth between all these men like she's watching some TV show. Bradley looks around the cafe and realizes everyone's staring at him. Everyone heard what just happened. Everyone saw him try to arrest a veteran for eating breakfast. And he knows there's nothing he can do to take it back. But here's the worst part for these two cops. Martinez's body camera has been recording this whole time. And what it caught is going to ruin their careers. Mitchell doesn't sit down, doesn't smile, doesn't even raise his voice. He doesn't need to. I suggest you both step outside. Now. Bradley and Martinez hesitate like little kids who just got caught stealing cookies. But eventually they walk out with their heads down and their shoulders all hunched up. The cafe stays quiet, but it's not a comfortable quiet. It's the kind where everyone's holding their breath. Marcus reaches for his coffee cup, still warm. Mitchell stands next to the booth with his hands behind his back. He leans in just a little, voice quiet enough that only Marcus can hear. You doing okay? Marcus nods. Didn't want to have to call you. I know, Mitchell says back, but you were right to do it. Betty finally finds her voice. Wait, what the hell just happened? Who are you? Marcus glances up at her. Old friend from back in the day. Eddie crosses his arms. You got friends who show up with Justice Department badges and shut down cops in the middle of harassing people? Marcus gives the tiniest smile. Depends on who's doing the harassing. Mitchell turns to Betty and Eddie. Sorry for the guess. We won't take long. I just need a few minutes with Mr. Thompson. Eddie nods. Take all the time you need. Coffee's on the house. Marcus shakes his head. Put it on my tab. I always pay my way. Betty gives him a little smile. Yeah, you always do. Mitchell slides into the booth across from him. His whole attitude changes now. Less official, more like he's talking to an old buddy, which he is. You sure you're all right? Marcus shrugs. I've had worse days, but I've had a lot better ones too. Mitchell's eyes get serious. This the fourth time this year, Marcus? Yeah. You want me to take this all the way up? Marcus doesn't answer right away. He just folds his napkin neat and sets it next to his empty plate. Do whatever you need to do. I'm sick of having to prove I belong somewhere to people who already decided I don't. Mitchell nods. You shouldn't have to. Not after everything you sacrificed for this country. Marcus's face gets hard for just a second. They only remember that when I'm wearing my uniform, not when I'm sitting in a diner trying to eat my breakfast. Mitchell sighs. They'll both be suspended. Probably worse. Marcus looks at him steady. I don't want their apologies. I want them to show some respect. I want them to learn something that actually sticks. Mitchell pulls out his phone. The body camera footage gets flagged for review today. Internal Affairs will call you. Probably want to interview you twice. Then we notify the media. Marcus doesn't even blink. Let everyone see it. Maybe next time they'll think before they pull this crap. Outside the window, Martinez is pacing by their patrol car, arms crossed tight. Bradley's on his phone, looking like he's about to throw up and punch someone at the same time. Inside, Betty's back to pouring coffee refills. But every few seconds, she looks over at Marcus. She's never seen this side of him before. Nobody here has. And that's the thing about guys like Marcus. You're right. Sorry about that. Here's the rewrite of page 4. They don't show off. They don't make noise. They just carry more weight than most people ever will. And they do it quietly. Mitchell stands up. He puts a business card face down on the table. You call that number if anyone else gives you trouble. You hear me? Marcus nods. Thanks for coming. Mitchell stops and looks him right in the eye. The people who matter appreciate what you did, what you've been through. But outside, something's starting to build. And what Marcus doesn't know yet is that the real storm is just getting started. And it's not coming from those 2 cops. It's coming from the internet. 2 hours later, the cafe is back to normal. Coffee cups clinking, forks scraping plates. The usual morning chatter mixing with the old radio crackling behind the counter. But something's changed. It's not just that Marcus is still sitting in his corner booth. It's the way people are looking at him now. Longer stares, curious glances. Some respectful, some just plain nosy. Betty leans over while she's tipping off his coffee. You sure you want to hang around? Half the town's already talking. Marcus shrugs. I didn't do anything wrong. Eddie grunts from behind the grill. You didn't. But people don't care about facts. They care about gossip. Marcus takes a sip of his coffee. Then they better bring their own entertainment. I'm not putting on a show. That gets a little laugh out of Betty, but it doesn't last long. The door chimes again. This time it's not a cop or a regular customer. It's some teenager in a hoodie and yoga pants, phone glued to her hand like it's a part of her body. You're him, right? She says, walking straight up to Marcus's booth. You're the guy from the video? The veteran from Eddie's Cafe? Marcus looks up, confused. What video? It's blowing up on TikTok. Someone leaked the body camera footage. Tagged this place and everything. It's everywhere. My cousin at Georgia State already saw it. Marcus leans back, his jaw getting tight. That was quick. Quick? She laughs like he just said something crazy. Dude, you're trending. People are losing their minds. Those cops? Social media is destroying them. Eddie walks over looking worried. Wait, who put the footage online? No clue, but it's got like 500,000 views in 2 hours. Betty puts her hands on her hips. What exactly does this video show? The girl scrolls on her phone and flips the screen around. Here, watch. On that tiny screen, Martinez's body camera comes to life. You can hear Bradley asking Marcus for his ID. You can hear Betty trying to defend him. You can see the moment Bradley goes for his handcuffs. And then Marcus calmly pulls out that old flip phone and makes his call. Then Mitchell shows up like something out of a movie. Marcus looks away. He hates seeing himself on screens like that. Makes him feel like he's being picked apart by strangers. People are calling you a hero, the girl says. Like quiet badass hero. There's even a hashtag, Marcus Thompson. Marcus shakes his head. I'm not a hero. Maybe not, she says softly. But you're not invisible anymore. And then she walks out just as fast as she came in. Betty pulls out her phone, taps around, then looks at Marcus. She's right. You're all over the place. There's news articles popping up. Even some reporter from Atlanta wants to interview you. Marcus sighs. That's not what I wanted. You sure? Eddie asks. Because maybe it's exactly what we needed. People finally seeing what's been going on right under their noses. Marcus doesn't answer. He stares down at his Veterans Affairs card still sitting on the table. That little piece of plastic never got him a job, never got him an apartment, never even got him a simple thank you when he needed one most. But now it's viral content. And that feels weird. But outside, behind the scenes, bigger things are starting to move. Because when the internet gets involved, the stories don't just spread, they explode. By noon, Marcus's name isn't just floating around social media. It's running across news tickers on TV. The local station WJBF picks up the footage, calling it another case of police overreach. Fox News runs a quick segment during lunch. By evening, the video's been chopped up, remixed, and analyzed by every online personality with a camera and an opinion. People want to know who this quiet, steady guy is, where he came from, what he's been through, and how 2 local cops got so comfortable treating him like garbage in broad daylight. So they start digging. And that's when the real story about Marcus Thompson starts coming out. It kicks off with an old photograph, faded color, kind of blurry, shot somewhere in Kandahar. Marcus standing next to 3 other soldiers in full battle gear, dust covering their uniforms, weapons strapped across their backs, that look in their eyes that says they've seen too much. The caption underneath says, Specialist Marcus Thompson, Operation Desert Hawks, 2005. Nobody online knows what Operation Desert Hawks was, So they keep searching. Turns out it was some kind of secret rescue unit that pulled hostages out of impossible situations. Top secret stuff. Most of their records are still locked away, but veterans have long memories. And when one of them posts a blacked out metal citation with Marcus's name on it from 2008, the whole thing explodes at Berceau Industries. This wasn't just some regular soldier. Marcus Thompson had pulled people out of hell, not just once or twice, dozens of times. There's no interviews with him anywhere. No shiny medals hanging on restaurant walls. No fancy ceremonies or speeches. Just a paper trail of heroism that nobody ever talked about. Back at the cafe, Marcus has no idea how crazy things have gotten. He doesn't mess with Twitter or Facebook. He's sitting in his usual spot, reading yesterday's newspaper that doesn't even mention his story yet. Mitchell calls him again. "You might want to brace yourself," he says. "For what?" Marcus asks. "My phone's been ringing nonstop. Senators' offices, TV news people, some big shot veterans from Washington want to meet you. One charity organization even wants to get you an apartment." Marcus blinks hard. "Get me an apartment?" "Yeah, you're America's new favorite hero." Marcus lets out this laugh that doesn't sound happy. It sounds shocked. "All I did was try to eat my breakfast." "No," Mitchell says. "You fought back without throwing a punch." Marcus stares out the window. Everything feels like it's moving at light speed, and nobody asked if he wanted to go along for the ride. He hates being the center of attention. He's spent years trying to blend into the background. But now complete strangers are turning him into some kind of poster boy. Some because they care about justice. Others just want content for their feeds. Betty walks over and puts a small package on his table. "Someone from the Veterans Center brought this by for you." Inside, there's a clean flannel shirt, a pair of work boots that actually fit, a smartphone still in the box, and a handwritten note that just says, "Thank you for your service, Staff Sergeant Thompson." Marcus stares at it for a long time. He doesn't want charity. He wants to be left alone. But maybe this is what happens when you force the world to look at something it's been ignoring forever. "Eddie," Marcus says quietly, "you ever feel like people don't notice you exist until something goes wrong?" Eddie doesn't look up from counting the register. "Every single day of my life." But what Marcus doesn't know yet is that his video is about to start conversations in places where guys like him usually don't matter. Places that pretend homeless veterans are someone else's problem. The video doesn't disappear like most viral stuff does. It keeps growing. By Friday morning, the Augusta Police Department puts out some official statement. "We are reviewing the incident involving Mr. Marcus Thompson thoroughly." But the internet doesn't want a review. They want heads to roll. They want justice. And they've already figured out who these cops are. Within hours, Martinez wipes out all his social media accounts. Bradley tries to make his profiles private, but not before someone grabs screenshots of his old posts. Some of that stuff is ugly, really ugly. The kind of garbage that makes you wonder how he ever got a badge in the first place. People start showing up outside police headquarters. Not a huge crowd. Maybe 50 or 60 folks holding signs that say, "I stand with Marcus Thompson." No yelling or chanting, just quiet determination. That's all it takes. Meanwhile, reporters start digging deeper. Turns out this wasn't Bradley's first time getting complaints about harassment, or even his 10th. There were reports filed and buried, citizens who didn't know how to fight back, complaints that got lost in paperwork, but Marcus knew exactly who to call. And that one phone call brought the whole rotten system crashing down. At the cafe, everything's different now. Betty's done 3 news interviews. Eddie's picture is in the local paper. People come in just to sit where Marcus was sitting. One woman actually asked if she could take a picture with his coffee cup. Marcus shakes his head at all of it. "I'm not some tourist attraction," he mutters. "You're a wake-up call," Betty tells him. "People just don't like getting woken up." Still, Marcus doesn't feel like any kind of hero. Heroes get to go home safe. They get to rest. He's still sleeping in the same homeless shelter, still using his jacket as a pillow, still working the stiffness out of his bad knee every morning. But something's changed now. One Tuesday evening, a black SUV stops outside the homeless shelter. 2 guys in nice suits get out and start asking around for Marcus. They walk up to him with a thick manila envelope. Inside, there's an official letter from the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, full of apologies for everything he's been through. They're offering him fast-track housing assistance, his own caseworker, a counselor, even a therapist if he wants one. "I never asked for any of this," Marcus says, staring at the paper like it's written in a foreign language. "No, sir," the younger guy says, "but you've more than earned it." That night, Marcus can't sleep. He's lying on that thin shelter mattress, staring up at water stains on the ceiling, thinking about all the guys he served with who never made it home, who never got letters like this, who never went viral, who just got forgotten, piece by piece. By Friday morning, both cops are suspended. The mayor of Augusta holds this big press conference. The police chief stumbles through some apology that sounds like it came straight from a lawyer's playbook. But none of that really matters anymore. Public pressure did what years of complaints never could. Bradley ends up resigning within a week. Martinez fights it for a while. But with investigators digging through old cases and finding more complaints that got buried, his career's hanging by a thread. Even the police union knows he's poisoned now. Marcus watches it all happen from a bench outside the shelter. There's news crews camped out nearby, hoping to get another interview. But he's not interested. Not today. He lights up a cigarette. He doesn't usually smoke, but some days just call for it. An elderly woman walks by, stops when she recognizes him. "Thank you," she says quietly. Marcus doesn't ask what for. He just nods. Because maybe people are finally starting to get something he's known forever. Respect isn't charity you hand out to guys like him because you feel sorry for them. It's something they deserve. And if it took one phone call, one diner, and one terrible morning to teach that lesson, then so be it. But there's still one more thing that needs saying, and Marcus knows it won't come from any press conference or protest march. It has to come from him. The next Sunday morning, Eddie's Cafe is unusually quiet. No cameras outside, no news vans blocking the parking lot. Just the regular crowd again. People who come for Eddie's hash browns and Betty's stories. The ones who were here before all the headlines and will be here long after everyone forgets. Marcus walks in wearing that same old Navy jacket. But something's different about the way he carries himself now. Not stiff or defensive, just solid. Like someone who knows exactly where he belongs, even when the whole world's watching. Eddie glances toward his usual corner booth. It's empty, waiting for him. But Marcus doesn't sit down. He clears his throat, and for a second, nobody pays attention. Then Betty notices him standing there. "Mr. Thompson," she says, setting down her coffee pot. "I got something I need to say," Marcus replies, looking around the room. The diner goes quiet. Forks stop moving. Conversations die mid-sentence. "I'm not a hero," he starts. "I didn't plan on becoming some story. I came in here for breakfast, same as always. Same as I've been doing every Wednesday for 2 years." He looks at Eddie behind the counter, then at Betty. "You folks saw me, not as some problem that needed solving, not as some charity case, as a person." He turns to face the other customers. "But some people didn't see it that way. And maybe now that this video's everywhere, folks are starting to pay attention. That's good, but paying attention isn't the same as understanding." A few people nod slowly. One guy actually puts down his fork. "See," Marcus says, touching his jacket lightly. "I wore this in Afghanistan. I watched good men die in the sand for a country that forgets about us the minute we take off the uniform." His voice stays calm, steady, but every word hits like a punch. "I didn't ask for medals. I asked for a seat. I didn't want a parade, just a plate of eggs. And still, I had to prove I deserved to be here." Marcus takes a step forward. "There's thousands like me out there. You won't see them on the evening news. You won't know their names. Some are sleeping in their cars. Some are working jobs that destroy their bodies because they've got no choice. Some just stop talking because they got tired of being invisible." He holds up his hand. "But listen to this. Being broke isn't a crime. Being tired isn't weakness. And asking to be treated like a human being should never be met with handcuffs." Betty wipes her eyes, tries to make it look casual. It doesn't work. Marcus gives her a small smile. "We all walk into places carrying stories nobody can see. So next time you meet someone who looks like they don't belong, maybe think again. Maybe they belong more than you know." He nods once and finally sits down in his booth. Nobody claps. Nobody cheers. Sometimes the truth is loudest when it's whispered. The rest of the morning, people come and go. Some leave cash on Marcus's table without saying a word. One woman hands him a handwritten note and walks away before he can read it. Eddie brings him fresh coffee without being asked. That afternoon, Marcus walks to the shelter one last time to pack his things. The apartment key from the VA feels strange in his pocket. Heavy. Real. A week later, the news stories start to fade. Social media finds something new to get angry about. The world moves on like it always does. But Marcus doesn't just move on. He puts down roots in a neighborhood where people wave at him from their porches, in a place where folks knock on his door not to question him, but just to say hello. He starts volunteering at the local elementary school, talking to kids about service, about speaking up, about treating people right. The teachers don't know how to introduce him at first, so they keep it simple. This is Mr. Thompson. You'll want to hear what he has to say. Turns out people do listen now, but more than that, they actually do, and they remember. 6 months later, Marcus is sitting in that same corner booth at Eddie's Cafe. Wednesday morning, 8:15 a.m. Same time as always. But now there's a framed photo on the wall behind the counter. It's not from that viral video. It's just Marcus and Betty and Eddie smiling like the family they've always been. A young couple walks in, tourist probably. They glance around, maybe looking for the famous booth where it all happened. Marcus catches their eye and nods. "Morning," he says simply. They nod back, sit down, order coffee, just like any other customers. And that's exactly how it should be. Because the real victory isn't being famous. It's being seen. It's being treated like you matter. Not because you went viral, but because you're human.